Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Game 5 of Adepticon here on Master Site. We have a great one for you here. It is former Master on Master Action, Eric Trowbridge versus myself. Eric is going to be playing something a little different than orcs. He's playing dwarves. And he told me he would be playing orcs, but his dwarves are mantic, so he wanted to bring a mantic army to Adepticon. Yeah, really was looking forward to this game. Was wanting to play him in the event here. Eric and I have played once prior. It was the Dallas Masters, so the year after he won Masters, we played, and we actually had a draw. It was my EOD versus his orcs, the same list that he had won Masters with the year prior. Yeah, I was really looking forward to a rematch to see who can kind of settle the score. And man, we're gonna have our work cut out for us here. Let's jump into Eric's list. His dwarves, he has 4 regiments of Iron Guard, all with throwing mastiffs. He has 2 regiments of berserkers. He has a horde of shield breakers with Blessing of the Gods. He has 2 troops of Brock Riders. He has 2 Flame Belcher war engines. He has the Steel Behemoth upgraded with Golok's Fury, as you do. And he has 2 Dwarf Lords on large beasts, bringing him to 14 units, 27 unit strength, and a whole lot of defense 6, which is definitely not what we want to see with my against my army here, especially in the scenario we're playing, which is dominate. Let's jump in to the pictures here. There is the handsome devil himself. He wouldn't let me take a picture of just him. He wanted selfies with both of us together. Yeah, I'm wearing the same hoodie. I promise I washed it. So here is our table for Dominate. So you can kind of lightly see on the mat there's an outline for the Dominate circle here, which is definitely going to be nice throughout the game. So terrain wise, we have our flat / height 1. It really won't matter over on the left here with a fence. And then we have impassable, a building, a forest in the center, a hill on the back right, a building here, and a forest here. Pretty basic terrain, but it's definitely going to be a rough scenario here. He's got a whole wall of defense 6 and a lot of unit strength just walking right up into the circle here. And it's pretty nice for him when he can have a building even to block off one of his flanks. Initially was thinking, okay, well, push both flanks and try and crumble one, but this building is going to prevent us from even contesting, pushing in on our left hand side here. So deployment wise, let's go ahead and take a look at Eric's list, or Eric's one. So he has a Lord on large beasts. Troop of Brocks, 1, 2, 3, 4 of the Shield Guard, defense 6 guys with dogs, and Golok right in the middle. He has the horde of Shield Breakers in the back here. On the right flank, he has both of his iron guns or flame cannons, the 2 regiments of Berserkers behind. He has his troop of Brocks and the last Dwarf Lord over here. For my deployment, I put the Dread Fiend on the far left here. There's nothing to hex, so I didn't make the same mistake twice. I put a horde of Scarecrows here. Just want to kind of block off this lane. I don't want him coming around the building effectively. So then I put a good amount of unit strength in the middle, both hordes, 2 soul flares, the triple stack with the reapers, and a horror rift weaver behind on this one. Butcher here, butcher here. I have my Shadow Hulk starting in the forest here. Both Mind Screeches. I don't really have good shooting options for this fight, so I was looking at the War Machines, might be one of the better options, so we'll try. And then on the right flank, we have another Butcher Flesh Ripper, a Horde of Scarecrows, and some more Soul Flares. Really, I just want to hold up the right flank so that he can't collapse in on the Dominate Circle. But yeah, going into this one and after deployment, the game plan. Normally we have a game plan. This one, the game plan is hopefully he gives us flanks. And hopefully the movement isn't going to be precise. But that's a big ask here because, I mean, just head on head against these defense 6 regiments, I have enough punch to maybe break 1 or 2, but he's going to be able to get flanks and punch back, and the Skallox Fury I'm not dealing with, and he can definitely get creative with these Dwarf Lords on large beasts to kind of come in and threaten flanks himself. Yeah, I don't have the tools to really punch through a defense 6 wall with, what is this, 13 unit strength, and then this horde's another 4, so 17 unit strength in the middle here that I just feel like I don't really have an answer to. So, yeah, it's really not, it's going to be an uphill battle, to say the least here, to start off this game. So, here's to hoping for some, rebound dice rolls, and hopefully we can take advantage of some flanking. So I got first turn. So I took first turn. This is actually one where I definitely want to take first turn. So I push up pretty aggressively. The Dread Fiend just runs forward. My goal for the Dread Fiend is if I can make... ideally any of these regiments turn around or turn and face him, that would be great, but I kind of want to just distract these 2 units here with 1 unit, because unless he's getting a flank or a rear, he's not really going to be doing much here. So yeah, I just kept him facing straight forward so that way I can move and get nimble pivot around this terrain. Sometimes or other times I would turn to face him in this way, but I know that this is going to get blocked off, so I'm expecting to have to go around. The rest of the line moves forward. As always, the butchers kind of stick their noses out further. This butcher's looking towards the hill over here. All of his stuff was behind the hill, so he's not able to see me or threaten me with those Brock troops, or that Brock troop over there. And then I'm got a lane for lightning bolt there. So the only thing that could charge is the Lord, which I'm okay with. I didn't give him a charge on the Horde, just because that's a grind that I will never win. And I didn't really have the position with this building here to set up a flank if he did hit the Horde. So I left the Horde out of charge range, but the Butcher's in range, and yeah, if he comes in, then I'll take the double charge on him. So a little bit better overhead look on the table here. So going into Eric's turn 1. As far as shooting goes, I did 1 wound to the War Machine, didn't get anything. So this is after I move, after Eric's turn. But so Eric shot, did a couple wounds to, let the dogs loose, all but one dog unit that was out of range. Did a couple wounds to each butcher on each side here. Gallock stood still and shot the one that was in the middle. So he was, was stealthy and whatnot. It was pretty lackluster, definitely below average turn for him shooting wise. And yeah, these cannons came over and were shooting at the other butcher that was sitting right here. So didn't lose anything. I got pretty lucky with that. He had just moved forward in position, and this is after my movement for this turn. Another thing to mention is he moved up his Lord on Beast here, and if we look here, there was a nice big gap, so he moved in, exposed his flank to my horde, and he was looking straight across my line. So my movement to answer that was each horde sidesteps 2 inches. I'm not going to let him get behind the line, but I will let him go ahead and charge the horde, or just kind of move down across the line if he wants to. And I moved this butcher over to really threaten and try to kick him out. So he has 1 dog unit, and then obviously Gallock can shoot. But I'm kind of okay if Gallock wants to stay back and keep shooting. That's really not the end of the world to me. That kind of splits up his regiments here a little bit instead of creating a perfect wall. So anyway, so we go to my turn, and this is movement after my turn. So I did move the Dread Fiend up. He's angled in such a way that he can run past this pond area here. He is within range of these Brocks, but it would be a hindered charge to the front, so I was okay with that. And I moved him across. Really just a couple little side shuffles. I moved this area forward. Everything over here is out of range of the Dwarf Lord, so he essentially only has 2 legal charges. It's the front of this horde or the front of this guy. Either one I'm okay with, because if he charges here, it's I think I only have 2 wounds on me, so it's not. It's fairly likely that I live. And then his flank's exposed to the soul flares can hit him hard, and I can get some double charges in there even. So so I wasn't too worried if you wanted to bring him right into the middle here. And these dwarves are pretty slow. He's on the fence here, so he's not able to run straight forward. And 8-inch charge range, I think he's even out of charging past this line, so I felt pretty comfortable if he wants to bring 1 piece in at a time. Over on the right, we got a little crazy here, so this is after one of the regiments, so, and sorry I didn't take pictures very well or at all. He moved both of his regiments forward along with his lord, and then backed up his Brocks after that. So there was another regiment of Berserkers right next to this one. However, I went ahead and double charged it with my Soul Flares and this butcher, and I flank charged it with the other butcher. And I popped it. So the combat reform, I just sidestepped this one, so keep in front of this unit here, and then angled, and this guy ran forward slightly, so basically blocking off a charge from the Brocks into the Soul Flares, which that's just a blank base for the actual models. And then also his lord cannot fit between my butcher and the scarecrow, so I'm protecting the soul flares for this turn. He does have a flank charge on this butcher with the Brox back here, so yeah, I mean, taking out a regiment and then not having a terrible reform. It's looking pretty good so far. So so a little closer look of that left flank after my movement here, and center, and the right. So you'll see that that gap is not big enough. So so effectively the Lord has the front charge here, and then it was really close, but he does have line of sight to this butcher. So that would be, I believe it was a flank charge. So, yep, because it looks like that's what he takes. So this is what the table looks like after movement here. I'm sure we'll have some close-ups. So he decides to nimble pivot back and then pivot to face this way. He doesn't like this Dreadfiend back here, so good job, Dreadfiend. You're doing your job. 2 units are looking at you. So he is within 14 inches with the Lord, and he charged the Brox over here as well. The center, he does move up. I think I think this guy's speed 5. So yeah, I think he just moved up. He didn't at the double, and then he just moved everything else up a little bit. Starts to create the line here, and blocks off Golok's flank. But Golok was not fast enough, or these guys moved a little bit too far, that they are sticking out a little bit. So Golok's the one a little bit behind, which I'm okay with because I don't want to target Golok. He's only unit strength 1. I need to kill the unit strength 3 units before Golok, and they're all defense 6, so it's going to be a pain to kill anything, really. And then the right flank, he does come into the flank of the butcher, charges the front, and then he charges the flank of this butcher with the Brox. And this butcher already had a couple wounds from his shooting before, and the dogs that had been thrown at him, so it's not looking great for him. So post-combat, he does kill this butcher, and he backs up his lord. I believe the backup was just shy of getting me a front charge. I would much rather have a front on this guy than a flank because I just want to sit like in his way. I'm not going to do much damage in the flank anyway, but anyway. And he does not kill the butcher here, which was quite surprising. So we'll take it. And that's the butcher that's supposed to be on this base, so ignore that placement there. He does a couple wounds over here, but we're fine. And shooting, he took off this butcher that was in the middle. So I forget if it was Golok or the last dog unit that he had that just went crazy, but one of them did like 6 wounds to him by themselves. So, you know, all's fair, kind of bounce back shooting. He had a poor first turn, good second turn. And then his war machines have been shooting at this horde, but not very effectively. So my turn 3, and it's just time to go in. There's really no holding back against the dwarf wave. So so this is how it looks, and so because this guy was within 14 inches, I am not going to sit there and countercharge and not kill Brox and then get double charged. So nimble pivot, move, and move. So doing this without a withdraw so you can advance, and I do end an inch away still, and I am out of 14 here. And that not a great picture, but that little lip that was sticking out here, it was enough space for these soul flares that were in the center here to hit the flank. So we take the flank, we take the front. It's still not great odds, but we're hopefully going to do a lot of damage to this unit. But if we can get lucky and break this unit on this turn, the soul flares can simply just sidestep like closer to my edge of the board, and they'll be blocked off from Golok hitting them in the flank. Because this horde is right up there, and Golok's pivot would not be able to get around. He would land on his own unit here. So if I can kill them, it'll be a really good position to not have to sacrifice anything as well. So, and then we're pre-measuring over here, and I was looking to try and double charge this unit, but it would keep my my big boy out too far to where like he could kind of swing around as a horde and still clip. So what I ended up doing was charge this regiment here, and that created more room towards the left for the Shadow Hulk to hit this unit. The Shadow Hulk's really one of my only tools here that I can reliably punch through this defense 6 wall, so I want to protect it as much as I can, and this horde is probably the scariest thing that I could be attacking, or could be attacking me. So, and then the right flank, the shooting has been completely irrelevant. My lightning bolt has done 1 wound over 2 turns, so I decide the Mind Screech needs to just charge. So I charge in here. Hopefully we can get a wound in combat to just shut down the shooting. And the other one's just moving forward. So the Butcher that did not die was able to get a flank onto this unit, and I was able to back up my horde here so that I could get a front with the soul flares as well. So, you know, fingers crossed we can hopefully break another regiment of berserkers. Again, we're looking to kill the unit strength, so the regiments over here are the key targets. A little bit closer center, so after combat, we get 9 wounds on this unit, which is pretty decent. So, you know, I can't really complain about that. But did not break it. I think I wavered it. He will get his headstrong roll though. And then I only did 4 wounds over here, which the horde was hindered. It's not, or I'm sorry, the horde was attacking this one. 4 wounds over here is about average for the Shadow Hulk by himself. So I do break the regiment on the right hand flank. So you know, Dash 18 inspired is, you know, not easy to break, and so I'm got pretty lucky with that, I feel like, overall. You know, 10 attacks in the flank, 12 in the front, all hitting on 3s, wounding on 2s, so 22 attacks. Yeah, well, you know, we'll take those breaks for sure. Probably a little bit above average to break them, so. And I think I did pluck a wound off this guy, the War Machine, so he's not shooting, hopefully. Yeah, there is a wound there. So after my reform, we'll take a quick look there. This is, again, I forgot to take pictures during Eric's turn, but he charged the front here. He charged the front of this guy, which he was sitting on like 8 wounds or so, 9 wounds maybe. So he did enough, broke him, and this is his combat reform over here. He did 4 wounds to the regiment. Yep. So, and then across the center, he did hit the flank of the Soul Flares with Golok, killed them. Everything else is sitting all right. There's 4 wounds here. You know, there's a couple wounds here. So what he was able to do, though, is after Golok charged the Soul Flares, it slid him down a little bit, creating enough room for him to double charge the front of my Scarecrows. with these two regiments, and that shifted his whole line down far enough that he could do the swinging door action with the horde here, clip my front, pick up in place. So not where I want to be with the Shadow Hulk, but he was hindered. So we took some wounds, but it could have been worse. And so this is how it looks going in my turn. On his left flank, he also decided that it's not worth him facing the Brox and the Lord after my guys, so he moved his Lord in such a way that he's facing towards Galak, essentially, but my Dreadfiend cannot see him. My Dreadfiend is also out of range of this regiment right now, so... but he did angle so that if I run 16 over here, he could see me. And likewise, this unit being just as fast as me and facing in this way, if I can't outrun them, basically, so... yeah, so this will be my turn 4. So movement, I just back up a little bit, turn the face... yeah, just dancing a little bit at this point. Eventually, I'll make my way towards the center and hopefully leave the Brox behind, but we'll see. The center line. So I was able to get the Horror Riftweaver in here with the double charge. These scarecrows actually countercharge the regiment on the right now. So what I had to do from the previous turn is, if you'll notice, my leader point's actually in the flank of this regiment. So I had to withdraw and then declare a charge with the Shadow Hulk here. So again, I'm trying to kill the unit strength 3, the defense 6. This one's wounded. Shadow Hulk against a horde. I'm just not going to do enough wounds. I'm not going to get through that. If I can break a hole, maybe the Soul Flare unit could come help, but at this point it's not looking great, so I need to try and finish off the units that I've already started putting wounds on. So it's a withdraw charge, but withdraw charge here, counter charge, double charge here, and just repositioning the back lines. Over here, I can't see the Lord on me, so I'm kind of just stuck here with this horde. But I decide that the Mind Screech needs to charge the Brox, because the Brox have good line of sight coming off a hill. They can hit some stuff, so need to just hold them up. And after combat, we do kill this regiment, so good job, Horror Riftweaver, and he backs up. And then I do kill this regiment as well, which was very surprising. I believe they only had like 4 wounds on them. But between the counter charge doing a couple wounds, and then the Shadow Hulk, even though he was -1 to hit with the withdraw, hitting on 4s, I think he only missed 2 out of his 9 attacks, and I think he put on like 6 wounds total. So he did great. And then Horror Riftweaver was within 6 inches, so we do have the dread. So killed him, and then I sidestepped just to be safe, so Galak now cannot hit, my Horror Riftweaver, which is much more damaging than either of these 2 hordes here. So, pretty unexpected to pick that up. Definitely showing some signs of life, have some options. This Mind Screech charged in over here as a sacrifice to protect the flank of the Shadow Hulk. So, we're alive. We got some stuff getting killed in the middle. We're gonna lose some stuff, but we'll see. And the right flank, I do a couple wounds to knock off the Thunderous at least. So this is the end of my turn 4, and I believe this is actually after Eric's already moved for his turn 4. So he repositions the Brox just to look at me. He goes ahead and double charges this horde. He double charges this horde. He charges the Mind Screech here. He charges the Mind Screech here. He brings these guys over. He's going to try and get some shooting off. And he does kill this regiment of Soul Flares here. And overruns. And looky there, we got another flank. Again, I'd just much rather be in the front of this guy. I don't like being in the flank because he's defense 6. So I'm not going to do anything anyway, and he'll just run away. So... yeah. So he shot everything at the Shadow Hulk. Between the combat Shadow Hulk was in before and the shooting, looks like he's up to 8 wounds, I believe. Maybe that's a 6. One of those two. So, you know, he's hurting, but still there. He kills off this horde and just maintains his positioning for reforms. And then, yeah, so my turn 5. So you'll see the Dread Fiends poked its head around again. He did not kill this horde, which isn't surprising. He only had 4 wounds on it from the first regiment's attack. And then I killed that regiment, so now it's the regiment plus the Lord. Not a lot of attacks, but you know, good quality of attacks. So I stick around for one more turn, which is pretty big here. So so I was able to squeeze in, get the flank, and then I countercharge the front here. So that's how we're looking there. I had a flank on Galak, but again, Galak's unit strength 1. I don't care. He's just not worth it. I don't want to deal with him. I'll leave him alive. He's just like Shobik. I just ignore them. They're not worth the time and effort. So, but you know, flank and a front here. Maybe we get a decent amount of wounds, and the Reapers can come in and kill this unit. So we're looking okay. Double charge this unit with the Soul Flares and the Shadow Hulk. Countercharging in here just to finish off, or not finish off, but again, keep these guys stationary. Charge the flank, nothing better to do. We can at least strip Thunderous, but this Lord is going to have his way with charges next turn. Yeah, and this is how it looks after my turn. Everything that I attacked did not die. So he countercharges me. He charges the flank of the Shadow Hulk. He charges the Soul Flares with the Horde and kills them to reform like this. The Shadow Hulk does live, luckily. Stripping the Thunderous is huge, so he was only crush 1. And then he turns to face like this. So I should say in my turn, I popped the Horde through the regiment here. I just marched them because the War Machines over here were both going to be in range to shoot the troop, and even just a couple 2 or 3 wounds is enough to waver or even kill this unit. So I'd much rather him be shooting at this horde. And Galak in the flank isn't the end of the world with my nerve, and he's sitting on 4. So I would much rather that happen and keep this troop alive. Yes, the hordes were 3 unit strength, but at this point, I'm doing math, and it's, I feel like I'm doing well killing wise. It's just not enough still. So, so he takes the flank. He kills this horde, and after he kills the horde, he wants to get out of range of this Dread Fiend, and he needs 2 or more inches with the dwarf overrun here. but he fails and rolls a 1. So he moves this guy, this regiment 1 inch forward, and that leaves an exposed rear charge from the Dread Fiend now onto the dwarves. So you're saying there's a chance. So my turn looks like this. I charged the flank of the Brox, who wavered this guy, and I believe I actually did back up to be in this position now. I charged the Horde, because the Horde has 9 wounds on it, and I guess I forgot to mention, but the Ronnie the Bards, I put mine on my Shadow Hulk, he put his on his Horde, so it's the Bard battle off here, the Battle of the Bands. I go ahead and charge the flank and the rear of these dwarves, respectively, and then I feel like, I don't want to attack Galak, but there was nothing else to attack at this point, so I went ahead and took the flank in the front here. It's not great odds, but it's better than any other option I had. Charging the front of these dwarves wasn't really going to be worthwhile when I have the other 2 guys in here. So, yeah. Do what we got at this point. Excuse my finger, but I did kill the regiment, so yay. And we are in that dominate circle, so we can start counting maybe, because this is turn 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Not quite 7. But we do not kill the horde of what's it called? Shield breakers. Yeah, we don't kill them. In fact, I don't even think we waver them, but we do kill the Brox and get a 6-inch overrun. So we're sitting on a hill. We're within range. If there is a turn 7, that's 3 unit strength right there. That's undamaged. It might matter. So on Eric's turn, he says, well, the unit strength's what matters, so he's going to charge it. He charges the regiment in the front, and then both of his lords on each respective flank here of the scarecrows. He decided he didn't need the rear over here with this one. I thought it would be alright, but I am sitting pretty heavy on wounds. I think I'm up 12 wounds maybe at this point, maybe even more. I think he had to roll like a 5 to kill me, and he rolled a 4, so I should be on like 15 wounds actually. So either way, we're perfectly fine. Or maybe that's this turn. Either way, he should be killing this guy. But he's definitely playing it smart, playing for the win for the scenario here. So these Brox come running up. They were not quite in range to charge my Dread Fiend, so they're just trying to get in position. They have a line where they can run right past this wall. They can get into the dominate circle this next turn. He is positioning here. He wants to turn and shoot here. He does shoot. He doesn't kill though, I don't think, so I think he wavers me. He does kill the horde and positions like so. I think both facing towards him here. He fails to kill the Shadow Hulk. Again, I'm not devastated at this point, but he's just hasn't been rolling that great. I feel like this horde should have, this is their like 3rd round of combat against him or so. Maybe it's only the 2nd for them because they had to fight a couple other things I threw in their way, but the Shadow Hulk's taking a beating, but he's still kicking, and it's really my last possible hope. So there is a turn 7, and dummy me did not take a picture, so so essentially what happens in turn 7 is I double charge the Horde and the Shadow Hulk into these guys who have 13 wounds on them. And I'm doing the math, so if, because this Horde's dead, if these guys kill and overrun, that's 4 unit strength. He does kill my troop of Reapers. So I only have 2 more unit strength here, so 3, 4, 5, 6 unit strength is the best I can hope for in the center, because he wavers this guy over here. He has the regiment worth 3. Assuming I kill the Horde, he'll have 3 characters, and then he'll have that pesky Brock troop that can just run straight in as well. So, again, turn 7 was a blessing, but I need to kill this Horde, and I need to kill something else, and I need to live with him not to kill anything in order for a draw. So that doesn't happen. I roll for this combat, and I get him up to 23 wounds total, I think, and I roll the Snake Eyes. He looks at me, and I think David Baker at this point was observing our game, and they both like I roll the Snake Eyes. I look up, they both look at me, and they're like devastated. It seems like, oh my gosh, that's so, I'm so sorry and whatnot. And I look at them like, well, I wasn't gonna win anyway, so so those are the Snake Eyes that it just happens. But it would have been much more devastating if I was sitting here like, oh, I just break this unit and I win. But just a poetic ending there. But I did end up double charging Galak in the front with the Horror Riftweaver and the Dreadfiend. And I killed Galak. Like, I got extremely lucky and I killed Galak. Kill Galak, the Horde stays alive, but what can you do? So at that point, Eric just rolls out. He countercharges the Shadow Hulk and just rolls that out. He's already well over the kill point threshold, so I told him, if we add it up and he doesn't quite have enough, we can roll it out. But everything I have is so fragile at this point, besides this Horde, which he doesn't care about because it's outside the zone anyway at this point. So. So in total, I think I killed quite a bit of stuff. I felt pretty happy, honestly. I think I got close to like 12 or 1,300 kill points, which wasn't quite enough for the max bonus, but it was one shy. And if I didn't the big thing with this unit being Snake Eyes is it had the Ronnie the Bard, so that's worth 1 extra victory point. But at this point, I'm 3 wins, 2 losses, so I'm not really in the contention for anything, so that extra victory points are kind of irrelevant. So, but yeah, it's just a tough list, and especially with this scenario, it's just a really hard nut to crack. So this went really as well as I could have hoped for. Kind of all in all, looking back at it. And, even with some things going in my favor, it was still a pretty clear win to Eric. He won on turn 6. Even the turn 7, like, I had a long shot possibility, but it really wasn't in my favor to win. So, props to Eric. He has a great army. He pilots it extremely well. And he's just a great fun guy to play against and to hang out with even outside the game. So I loved playing you, Eric, and this was my favorite game vote for the tournament. So you definitely deserved it, brother. So again, in the end, finished 3-2 with the Nightstalkers. So I'm definitely feeling some of the nerfs. In reflection, the speed 8 on the Sold Flares is actually quite a bit more important than what I initially gave it credit for. There were several games where, if they had that extra 4 inch of threat, there would be, flanks, there would be better positioning, preventing positioning throughout the entirety of the game. So, realistically, I think it's a fair and just nerf to them. The Aura Spell Ward is definitely big for the Horror Rift Weavers, and we felt that in the game against Jeff Shulkin and all of his Lightning Bolt, as well as in the Empire Dust game with the Drain Life. So, other than that, the less attacks but cheaper units for the Scarecrows and the Reapers. It's tough to really weigh how big that was in any of the games. There's not a situation that jumps out at me, but I think that both of those are perfectly fine adjustments as well. So, all in all, I think that the Nightstalkers, especially the Trash Stalker build that I play here, has definitely been toned down from a it's still competitive, but it's not a tournament winning army. It's definitely more like a 4-1, 3-2 type army. It feels, and it has some clear mismatches that it does not want to see on the other side of the table, and this I think is definitely one of them. Now, if you were playing dwarves and invade or push, possibly, that's a different story. But this particular scenario is extremely difficult. So, so I think for now, the Nightstalkers are going to probably hang out on the shelf for a little bit. The next tournament I got coming up is Lone Wolf. That is, by the time this is out, it'll be about 3 weeks away. And I actually have a first round challenge for that one. So, looking forward to that. I'll be doing a preview for Lone Wolf here in the next coming weeks before the event. And I'll kind of cover that challenge and everything going up to it. But a little sneak peek, I will be bringing the Empire Dust back out. So, so I appreciate everybody watching here, and keep on the lookout for the next video and the next series, which will be a Lone Wolf 2023. So, thanks everybody for watching, and we'll see you next time.